Welcome to Next Up Accessories, where we connect your next up in vehicle personalization to make you more money and happier customers. What is vehicle personalization? It's a proven methodology to present vehicle customization to your customers that will increase your paycheck, give customers the car they want, and skyrocket your CSI. According to our friend and successful sales professional, Eric Gonzalez, if your car sale doesn't touch every part of the dealership, then you aren't doing your job. Vehicle personalization is a key way to make that happen. If you want to learn more about how to bring accessories into every car deal, then this is your podcast. For more information about vehicle personalization, visit us at insigniagroup.com. If you're an Insignia Group customer, thank you for your business. Remember to check out our blogs. Lots of best practices there, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date. We also like to talk on social media, so reach out to us. We want to thank Side Hustle for the use of their song, Work With What You Got, very appropriate for the car business. Find them at sidehustletheband.com. And they're about to release a new album July 31st, so check that out. All right, let's dive into our show. I have always said that no matter what is going on in the world, you can always find a job at a car dealership. Whether straight out of school or 20 years of experience in a totally different industry, car sales professionals come from every walk of life. Robi Sifers is no different. Robi has a lovely family of 4 kids, her husband, and her grandma, who she calls her 73-nager. That's kind of like a teenager, so she must be really a hoot. We'll talk about Robi's grandmother here shortly. 5 years ago, she took a big step and was looking for a more lucrative career and applied for a sales position at Columbine Ford, and she's never looked back. Starting as a green pea, she rose from selling 12 to 15 cars a month, which is nothing to sneeze at in the first 3 months, to 28 cars a month in 2019. She started at the dealership like most people do, with little to no help from other salespeople. It's a cutthroat business sometimes. And she did the research, found sales resources, and helped herself become the best salesperson on the floor. And now she has become a sales manager. Today, we're going to talk to Robi. We're going to hear her story. So let's welcome Robi to the show. Robi?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me here today.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about you and your background and how you came to the car industry?
Okay, awesome. Well, it was actually all by chance. I was a teacher for about 5 years at our school district here in town. And, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can't make very much money working for the school district. We actually have a very low paying school district. It's the lowest in the state. And I was looking for a different job. And where we live on the interstate. And if you find a job in town, it is like gold if you don't have to commute. And at the same time, my teenage son was also looking for a summer job. So we were looking at Craigslist together, and came upon an ad for Columbine Ford. And it was like, hiring salespeople. It said, you can make $40,000 to $75,000 a year. We'll train, no experience necessary. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of reading this out loud. We're drinking coffee or whatever at the kitchen table. And he's like, you should do it, Mom. And I was thinking to myself, like, I have no sales experience, Oliver. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But at the same time, it was a teachable moment because I'm trying to get him to put himself out there. And so literally, like, within an hour, I was showered, dressed, resume in hand, kind of just proving a point to him that I'll go down and apply for this job, but really just doing it to follow the motions. Little did I know that it was like a pivotal moment in my life, because it's been life-changing. It really has. So that's how I ended up working here. All I knew about Columbine was that they were great in the community. They're always in parades. They're always giving to the school district, like just a very family-oriented place. And that's what I knew about them. I had obviously had work done here on my vehicle at the service department, but as far as selling cars or anything like that, I had a preconceived notion of what a car salesman was, and that was not me. Now I have a completely different insight.
You mean you don't want to dress in plaid and have a Magnum PI mustache and slicked up shoes?
Plaid, maybe. There's a season for that.
There's a season for that.
Probably not a good look for me, but you know.
Well, let's take it one step back. And my question is, did Oliver apply as well? Because, as a high school student, that's another great place to go and apply to be a porter, to work in service. I mean, so did he apply to the store as well?
He didn't apply here that summer, but he did get a job as a sign spinner at an ice cream shop. So we both got gainful employment.
Very, very nice. That's awesome. And so when you entered the business, you said it was life-changing. What about it has been so life-changing for you?
Everything from my personal self-confidence, which I would say on a scale from, income to confidence, they're both really, really important, so everything has changed. Our whole life has really changed. I've gotten opportunities that I never would have had because of this job. You're really in a place where you get to kind of decide how much money you're going to make, how much you're going to work. You're in the driver's seat. And so when I kind of found out that it was all on me, of course, when you first start, you get a guarantee. So they're like, okay, yeah, we're just going to pay you to do this training. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of similar to what I've been making. So we'll see what happens. But then after that, it's like, oh, commission, that's a little bit terrifying. But when you kind of step from that and you're like, okay, wait a minute, you're telling me that the amount of money I make is based off of the amount of effort I put forth. Like, you have no idea the kind of effort I can put forth. And I actually had no idea the amount of effort that I could put forth. So the sky, outer space was the limit for me in my mind.
That's awesome. Now, how much did it affect your family life from the perspective of hours? Because one of the most traditional things that we hear about being a sales professional is that it's a 13-hour, it's a bell to bell, it's a 17-hour day job. Did you find that same thing, or did you find your balance of family and work balance early on, or how long did it take you to find that balance?
There was definitely some stretching and some growing pains, but there are definitely ways to finesse that. There's been some crock pot meals. There's been times where all the cooking and cleaning takes place on a Sunday and we're not, really going anywhere. There's been times where things didn't get done, or there's been times where, we've gone out and done things as a family and maybe the housework and all of that other stuff has been left behind because we needed to give to our family bucket, so it's just kind of a reprioritizing of what's important at that time, so it was just kind of a restructuring. And I definitely couldn't have done it, without my husband, who was an integral part. If we didn't all band together, and, the kids too, they're important as well. Everybody kind of has to pull their own weight. And be self-sufficient to a certain amount. Everybody plays their part, I guess is what I'm saying. So you can make it work. There's just a lot of planning that goes into it and a lot of juggling. And if it's important to you, you will make it work no matter what it is.
Well, it sounds like you had an incredible network and setting you up for success. Being a teacher actually probably gave you a lot of skills that you didn't realize you had that you got from being a teacher. So, obviously you weren't afraid to talk to people. Obviously you weren't afraid to be in front of people. And what I've also heard, I've never been a teacher and I admire it greatly, it is also a bell-to-bell job where it doesn't stop at 3:00. You go home and grade papers and you're planning the next day. And so, perhaps this was an incredible transition for your family that was kind of like from one glove to the other in a little bit of a way. So that's really awesome. Now, tell me about your grandma. So is she awesome? She come to visit the store and, make trouble and sounds like
she shows up sometimes. We started out calling her our 73-ager because it was like adding another, kid to the family. So she's pretty cool. Yeah, we like her.
That's amazing.
She's fun.
That's amazing. So you start in the store, you start, after your training, you start selling. Was it an instant, okay, this is for me? Or did it take a while? Did it take that first 3 months? Because as you and I both know, 3 months is about the time frame that you're going to make it or break it. And after that 4th month, you're out of friends and family. So you're now really on your own. So at what point did you make that sort of, okay, this is right for me?
I was honestly bored. I was waiting for them to just let me start selling cars. I was bugging them every day. Finally, when they started letting me sell cars, I went out and sold a car the first day. I think I sold 9 cars the first month. I was selling cars, passed up a couple of guys on the board. I was the only woman car salesman that we had. We had a woman in finance who was a really strong person. She also had a family. I watched how she modeled all the things she did as a mother, and that was a really strong role model for me. There's other women in our dealership. We have women in parts. We had women in service. You know what I mean? Those were all people that I gravitated towards and saw what they did, and I felt really proud to be a woman in the sales department because we didn't have any other women in the sales department. And so I felt like I had a little bit of something to prove kind of to the guys, but also to myself, because I really wanted to make it work after being here for a little while and training, and then you're watching all these videos and you're getting kind of bored. And like I said, I was chomping at the bit. So once I shadowed them for a little while, I was like, are you guys just going to let me do this or what? Like rip off the Band-Aid, let me go. And so they did, I was just out there doing it, and I was doing it.
That's fantastic. So in my experience, going almost 20 years now in the business, most dealerships, and of course I'm embellishing here, but most dealerships sales departments are made up of a spectrum. There's two people who've been there and they're ancient, right? And they don't take ups, and they do it by appointment only, and they sell 25 cars a month just by drinking their coffee in the morning. It's basically 2. And then you have a sort of medium group that they're chugging. That's where I instantly saw you. You were like right in the middle of that pack. And then you've got, the 5 that are not going to make it. They're going to, leave next month, and you're going to have another 5 come in. So what was the reaction to those guys that come in, drink the coffee, and they've already made a car sale to you? I mean, were they welcoming in your store? Were they like, you're not going to make it? It sounds like
it was mixed reaction, of course. There was ones like, hey, where'd you get that customer? And there was ones that was like, good job, and then there was ones that were like, very helpful, and ones that just wouldn't talk to you at all, and there's a couple of people still here from when I started, and we've got great bonds now, and I definitely have the cred and the respect, and we have a great team here. I've never, this is the only place I've ever worked. I can't imagine working anywhere else. I love it here. And, everybody's been very supportive. So
that's awesome. And now you are a sales manager or the sales manager?
We have we have a general sales manager, and then we have me, and then we have the GM. So there's 3 of us. Okay. I'm kind of on the bottom totem pole, but they don't make me feel that way. Well,
manager is in your title, so you're definitely not on the bottom of the totem pole, so that's awesome. So that is a mark of distinction that you in 5 years have been promoted up. And in a store that, how many cars do you sell on average in a month total?
I mean, now is a little bit different than before, so obviously we're not selling as much as we used to, of course. Right. So, I mean, before we'd be somewhere between 125 to, 140. Now we're like 80, you know what I mean? So, right.
Yeah, it makes
and we have 6 salespeople.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I think my point in saying that was really to help our audience understand your market, and that sometimes in stores of your size, upward mobility is tough, right? Because you get people that are solidified in those positions, and if they're making the numbers, it's hard to move up. And so you've been able to move up in that organization, despite it being kind of tough to move up just because of the sheer size.
Sure.
So that's pretty awesome. So cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan already. I mean, this is awesome.
This month actually marks 1 year. So actually, Wednesday will be 1 year since I received that promotion. So it definitely has been a highlight for me. And I still just feel like part of the team. So
that's awesome. That is awesome. And what a tough year to be promoted too. With everything that we've all been through over the last 18 months or so. Congratulations on that must have been super challenging. So tell me a little bit about how your store weathered that storm all of last year. I mean, your stores in your area remained open, correct? Because you were probably designated as essential businesses. Most of the stores.
So our service department stayed open. There
Mhm.
was a time where we were selling cars from home. So in March of last year, we did have to sell cars from home for a little while, and a little while in April. And that was challenging, but we were still doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
We took, all of our information. We would come to the store. They'd kind of hand us keys out the door. We'd, drive them wherever. I think I did a delivery in a canyon way out in the middle of nowhere that showed up on my Facebook memories last month. Like we made it work. We still pulled some numbers, for those months where we had to do that and not have any, sales clientele in the showroom or on the dealership grounds for those couple of months. So, I mean, salespeople are really versatile people. We're used to rejection. We're used to coming up with new ways to do the same thing. Like we're used to being kicked. We're just like, okay, what's the next new idea? That didn't work. What's the next new idea? We're innovative people, so we'll just take whatever comes and we'll make something new out of it. And I think that's what everybody did, from what I can tell.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very good. Now let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about your affinity for off-roading. I understand that that's somewhat of a off-roading and camping, that's a passion for you or your family. So tell us a little
Yeah,
bit about that.
absolutely. We really like to do that. It's been a huge part of our lives. We started doing that because, being young parents with 4 kids, it's pretty much cheap next to free to pack a picnic and head up to the mountains. And luckily for us, living in Colorado, we have everything from desert to like alpine landscapes. So,
Yeah.
taking the kids out to just run around and be crazy is awesome. And we have a 73 Baja Bug, which is really fun. It's a lot of fun. And we have a truck, so just going out and being out in nature is just a great way to blow off steam, and it's a fun thing to do.
Well, and it obviously gives you a perspective that you can share with customers when they come in and they're, desiring of upfitting their vehicle, or they're going to do camping, or they're going to do off-roading. So how instrumental has that been to you, and what have you done to help your team kind of embrace that understanding of, hey, this is what our clientele, may want to do to their vehicle as they go through the purchase process?
Sure. I mean, what better way to do market research than to be immersed in the market? Like when you're out there and you're seeing what other people are doing, you're like, wow, that's cool, or we should get that. And we just, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a really cool thing called the Ford Bronco that just came back out.
Yeah, we've heard a little bit.
Yeah, Ford's doing a pretty good job of getting people tempted and excited on that one. They released the Bronco Sport, and they came out with a lot of really cool accessories for that. So we had a couple of those in our showroom. They've got a tent for that one with a ladder, so we had that set up out there. A couple years ago when they came out with the Ranger, we did the paddle board with the rack. We had that set up in the showroom. So we put a lot of really cool things out there. And in addition to that, we're one of 3 Roush stores in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
So we do a lot of performance upgrades as well as appearance upgrades. And we also order a lot of vehicles from like SCA, Shelby, Tuscany.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also help customers customize vehicles too. So sometimes people don't want something that's cookie cutter. That's something that everybody has. So we are really lucky to have an awesome parts department and an awesome service department and they can really help people realize their vision. Even if they don't know exactly what they want, 9 times out of 10, people will spend hours and hours looking at the wheels they want, or looking at the width they want, or whatever it is. But even if they don't know, if they have an idea, we can help them put it into action. So I feel really blessed to have the team that we have here, and we put out some really awesome vehicles.
Yeah, awesome. Now, so talk a little bit about the wow factor that you create in the showroom when you have a vehicle that is dressed out. How often do customers just sort of get attracted, like, "Ooh, look at that," or "Wow, hey," and they kind of do a walk around? How often does that happen when you have something on the showroom floor?
We do it quite a bit because people can actually see themselves using it. It's one thing to talk about,
That's awesome.
hey, this Bronco Sport comes with a tent, or hey, this Ranger has, a paddle board with a rack, or it's got a bicycle rack, or it's got whatever. But if you're talking to somebody that goes paddleboarding every day and you've got the truck right there and you can show them how that fits into their adventure lifestyle, you can show them how easy it is to set it up, or you can really appeal to them with their needs, whatever it might be, or show them how easy, when the tent was set up on the Bronco out there, and it ended up being our last Bronco Sport, we would fold it down and say, hey, take it for a test. Oh, no, it's okay. You got this whole thing. Hey, it takes us only 5 minutes. And they would watch us, put it back in there, and it's like, wow, that was so easy. Yeah, can't you see yourself just driving out, even if it's overnight, spending the night with your sweetheart out in the forest, and just setting it up real quick. And so when you have something like that at the ready, so somebody can see it instead of just in the book, being able to actually see it, touch it, feel it, experience it is something completely different than just a picture in the JCPenney's catalog. You know what I mean? It's right
100%.
there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So everything that you're saying makes total sense from the standpoint of seeing is believing. And I love the fact that your store is willing to have customers experience it, take something off a vehicle, go test drive it, come back and put it back up. I mean, I can't tell you that that's atypical for a sales team, because generally it's like, oh, don't touch that vehicle. We've had that bike rack hanging there on the roof for the last 4 months. Don't touch it, right? I mean, it's just silly, and you want people to experience it and feel it. So that's awesome.
To be honest with you, we'd rather not put it back inside. The goal is for them to take it with them afterwards.
Of course, you want them to sell it. Why don't you just take this home?
You don't want us to put it back in there, do you?
You want this. You want this. That's great. That's awesome. So talk a little bit about the performance side of things, because that's also a place where not a lot of stores get into, and I think it scares them off a lot. Stores could get into performance tuning and things like that through Ford Racing, through Roush, through Shelby. So what got you, what about your market makes that type of customer come through the door?
Sure. So we have a really big customer base of that. And I'm not sure if it's because where we are. So we're located rurally, which sounds funny because I'm sure it sounds like cowboy land, and it kind of is. But we're an hour south of Aspen, or Aspen's an hour south of us, I'm sorry. And we're an hour east of Vail. So we have some really high-end clientele. And then Grand Junction is an hour west of us, and they actually have a racetrack. So like Friday night races in the summer is a big deal. We have some salespeople that race cars that have souped up Mustangs. We have, their clientele who are also big, huge race enthusiasts. We have a lot of people that buy STs. I have an ST, so going to go to the ST racing school here next month. Super excited about that. So, I mean, with where we live, there's not a lot of things to do. And so maybe that's part of it. I would hope that people are just interested in these performance vehicles everywhere because they're awesome. So I'm not really sure why, but we do have one of the biggest service departments on the western slope of Colorado. We have a handful of nationally certified Ford technicians, which is crazy for where we live. And one of the biggest shops, we have a couple of different huge shops. People come from everywhere to come to our service department. So I think that's probably another reason. So it's kind of a big melting pot of reasons.
So that's awesome, and it really does sound like you have the perfect makeup. From obviously your ownership has approved and supported this direction and embraced these things through your management. Your general manager obviously is embracing it. You've got employees that are living the life, which you're an example of. So, what would you say to a store that maybe doesn't have that great of a makeup, because that's a great makeup in terms of the recipe? How would you encourage another sales manager that's out there that sees this as an opportunity and just doesn't know how to get it started? What would be your advice?
Just say, look into the market and find those niches, find things that are important to people in your area. Like you don't have to stock all of these parts. People understand that you might have to order some things in. In our service department, it's not like we're stocking all of these things. We're stocking things that appeal to the mass in our market, which are hunting products and, things that have to do with people's major interest in our area. But people will wait for things that are important to them. So if you're offering things, then those people will seek you out, So I would just say, if it's something that you're interested in, if you put together a quality presentation and you get other people on board, as long as you're making sense with what you're doing and you're passionate about it, you should come across informed, and, hopefully you can appeal to the people that are making the decisions.
Yeah, I love that. Find the niche. I mean, that's really what you're saying. Find the niche of your market, and every market has some niche, some enthusiast niche that's out there. All communities have that. So I love that your store has embraced the niche that you all have, and you've doubled down on it, completely and totally. So that's pretty awesome. So let's take us back to the kind of the days of last 2020. Digital retailing being probably bigger now than it ever has been. Because you are so successful in having customers come in and see it, what adjustments did you make in the digital retailing space to be able to have customers still see it, but at home?
Sure. So we did have digital retailing long before COVID took place. So that was nice that we had that in place. And I kind of touched on one of the reasons that we did is because we do have the high-end clientele. There's some people that just don't want to come in store. They want to be catered to. So we were doing a lot of at-home delivery. We had something that the sales department called the Columbine Concierge, where we would go and, just appeal to that high-end clientele. And we actually sold to about 37 stores in the last 2 years.
Nice. Now, you had that in place, the Columbine Concierge, you had that in place prior to 2020?
Yeah, we did.
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
So we knew that there was a lot of things that were driving people to shop online. I mean, obviously it's our first choice that they come in brick and mortar, but we would be remiss to not provide a shopping experience online. Everybody wants the convenience or the ease to be able to get the information online, whether it's because they're COVID conscious or because they're pressed for time or whatever their reasons are. So we did see a little bit of a spike in people doing that, because of COVID, but now we're kind of seeing the opposite. People are tired of being at home. We're getting more walk-in traffic, so I think there's always going to be a wax and wane in the way that people shop, depending on whatever sanctions are put in place by the government or whatever the current mood is in society. So I think it's important to offer a variety of ways for people to shop. That's definitely nothing, we will never get rid of it, but we want to just appeal to the masses and have a lot of different options.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff. So let's go back, and we're going to come full circle to that new person that's going to go listen to this podcast and say, doggone it, I'm going to go to my closest dealership and apply and tell them I'm ready to sell. What would you say are the keys to success in getting through those first 3 months and being successful as you have been?
I would say the number one thing is to not be afraid, to just try new things. Make sure you educate yourself. You cannot be complacent. You have to keep learning constantly, and educate yourself. If you want to move forward, you have to interview for the job that you want every single day. They always tell me constantly that I would overdress. Like, oh my gosh, we'd be out there. We don't dress professionally here, because of where we're at. It's kind of a jeans and polo shirt type of place, and I would be showing up in suits and all, just be really fancy, and they just call me extra all the time. And I already stand out because I'm super loud and, being the only woman out there sometimes, but just like go all in all the time, and, just take it one step at a time would be the last thing I would say. Do not focus on selling the car. Do not focus on the end goal. Focus on making the best phone call. Focus on having a quality appointment. Focus on having a quality walk around. Focus on doing whatever action you're doing. Make it the best, because selling the car will come as long as you're doing everything great. Be a good advocate for your customer. Be a good person. Do everything to the best of your ability, and you will sell cars. So I would say that'd be the recipe.
That's awesome, Robi. Fantastic advice. And let me tell you, if I were ever in Colorado, I'd want to work for you for sure, because it sounds like you're a great motivator, because you're a great motivator of yourself. And that's been quite clear in our conversation. So our last question, and we'll wrap it up. We always ask, so we found out a little bit of what you drive. You've got the buggy, you've got a truck. I'd like to hear more about the truck, but you also have an ST. So tell us about that. So what's your daily driver? And then it sounds like you got some horsepower parked in the garage, or maybe that's your daily driver. So tell us what your daily driver is.
Vehicle hoarder.
Say what?
I said I'm a little bit of a vehicle hoarder. You pointed that out. So yes, I do have an Edge ST, a 2020 Edge ST. I love that car. Not a whole lot of accessories on it. Actually, I was disappointed. I was looking for some things. So far, just some valve stem caps, some little wheel caps on that one, a couple of nice little things inside, nothing much. I have a personalized license plate. So, hey, everybody knows it's me. So that's all I have on that one. I have a 2021 F-150, and that one's got a backflip tonneau cover, trifold. Nice. We've got Carhartt seat covers. We've got a really cool two little things that hang off the back of the seat, and you can put your guns in there. So my husband got that, and he likes that, which is really cool because people can sit in the back seat, and there's so much room in the back of an F-150, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
WeatherTech mats, I have in front of my bugs. I mean, there's so many cool things you can do to really customize your vehicles, and not just for functionality, but for fashion. So I'm like a little bit of both. Both of them are really important to me. I hate not being distinctive. So yeah, I love cars. They're fun.
Well, that comes out completely and totally. So I really want to thank you very much for being on our podcast today. You've been a great guest. So podcast listeners, if you want to talk some more and join the conversation, go ahead and post any comments you like in our posts. Reach out to us. We'd love to continue the conversation. If you're interested in telling us your story, reach out to us and let us bring you on the show. You can reach Allie or me on social media or through our Insignia Group website. Until next time, I'm David Stringer, and this has been the Next Up Accessories, where we connect your next up in vehicle personalization to help you make more money and happier customers. Thanks for tuning in. Every deal, every day. Bye-bye.